Many, many years ago, in a faraway kingdom in Ireland, a very special girl named Dymphna was born. Everyone said her name sounded like bells chiming when they said it. Her skin was pale like snow, her eyes as blue as the sky, and her hair was long and shiny. They also said she was very tender-hearted. Dymphna's mother was a sweet, loving woman. She was a Christian and had enormous faith in God. She always smiled at her little one, caressing her blonde hair, teaching her how to pray. She told her that Jesus and the Virgin Mary watched over her night and day, and that the most important thing in life is to love. It was she who sowed the seeds of love of God in Dymphna and care for others. Her father was a king, a strong and rich man, lord of an enormous castle with soldiers and horses, but his heart wasn't as peaceful as his wife's. Although he loved his family, he was quick to anger and didn't know how to manage his emotions. One day, something very painful happened to Dymphna when she was just a teenager. Her mother died, and her father, who loved his wife very much, fell into a deep sadness because he didn't know how to live without her. His heart began to break. He cried, he yelled, he got angry at the slightest thing, and sometimes he said things that didn't make sense. His heart was hurting, and over time his mind became ill. Some people, just like we get sick in our stomachs, or our bones or our throats, can get sick in their thoughts and feelings. When someone has a mental illness, their heart and mind get very sad, angry, and confused, even though the person doesn't want it. It's not their fault. Just like when the body gets sick, the mind also needs care, understanding, and the help of a doctor who knows how to heal. It doesn't look like a broken arm, but it hurts just as bad inside. That's what happened to Dymphna's father. After her mother died, his grief was so strong that he lost his heart's peace and began to act very strangely. When Dymphna was 15 years old, she understood that her father couldn't think clearly. Grief and his mental illness had changed him, and he started to make dangerous decisions. Dymphna loved him, but she also knew that sometimes love means being brave and doing the right thing, even when it hurts. A kind priest called Gerbert, who knew her since she was little and knew of her faith, realized that her soul was in danger, so he helped her to escape. One quiet night, while everyone in the castle was asleep, Dymphna left in secret with just a few belongings and took off in the company of the priest. They left behind riches, gardens, and high towers. They traveled by land and sea until they finally reached a town in Belgium called Gheel. There, Dymphna found peace for a while, dedicating her days to helping the poor, consoling the sad, and taking care of the sick. Although she was far away from her father, she knew in the depths of her heart that he was hurting, that he wasn't a bad man, but a sick man in need of love and healing. That's why, although scared inside, she never stopped praying for him, asking God to forgive him and bring him the peace he needed so badly. Her father never stopped looking for her until one day he found her in Gheel in Belgium. Even though the townspeople tried to protect her, he, blinded by his pain and illness, did something very sad. He had Father Gerbert killed, and then his own daughter, the sweet Dymphna. Dymphna died as a martyr, defending her faith, her purity, and her love for God. But in her heart, even in the very last moment, she forgave her father, praying for him and offering all her suffering to God. But the story doesn't end there. The villagers lovingly buried her body, and something very special began to occur. People who suffered from mental illnesses and their families began to come to Gheel, and there they were welcomed with open arms, as if they were part of a big family. Still today, centuries later, that place lovingly cares for those with wounds in their minds or hearts. That's why the church calls Saint Dymphna the patron saint of those who suffer from mental illness, those with anxiety, depression, or confusion. Saint Dymphna didn't perform showy miracles, nor did she have strange visions. Her miracle was loving bravely, serving others with joy, and forgiving them from her heart, even he who did her so much harm. How wonderful it would be if we learned to truly take care of each other, if we cared about what's happening in others' hearts, and if we realized that our minds can get sick too. If we pay attention, are patient and loving, we can accompany those who suffer, alleviate their hurts, and sow peace where there was pain. Can you imagine how the world would change if we treated all those who are suffering with loving kindness, like Saint Dymphna?